What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon. This is Boulder City Veterans Memorial Park Pond. Let's fish that. Alright, so it might not look like it because of the short sleeves, but it is actually quite cold. With the unstable polar vortex, we've been getting quite a lot of cold weather coming through. But the silver lining for that is that the water temperatures are quite low enough to stock some trout. So, according to the NWO website, the local park ponds were stocked with some trout on the 7th of November. So, it is officially trout season. Now, I wanted to start this year by going down to Willow Beach, trying to find some good big rainbow trout. But sadly, the waters are very low at Willow Beach at the moment. They have been stocking trout for the last month or so. You will find trout, but the trout we found there this morning tend to be very small. Alright guys, we got a little fish on. It's a bit of a high spell to bring him up here. Oh, he popped off. I'm on a bit of a ledge here. Maybe need to make my way down to the water. So we thought on our way back, let's stop here at Boulder, see if we get any of the stocked trout, see whether they truly have been stocked. Alright, so my initial plan was to use some of these little Z-Man Micro Finesse products. We have little paddle tail swimmers and some larvae, some bug looking things. My idea was to catch some big trout using these things. I think they would work pretty well for the trout. But seeing as how we only saw small trout down at Willow, I don't think these will work on our normal 8-inch stockers. So we are rather going to opt for our normal lures we use out there, something like a little power worm, some power baits, some inline spinners. This is stuff we know tend to work on the little trout. As far as the power baits, we've been asking all the other guys out there also using power baits, catching some fish, and it seems that it doesn't matter what flavor or what color. Some say green, some say garlic, some say yellow, some say orange. So I don't think the exact color or flavor of the power bait matters. It's just a small presentation. These fish just lightly grab them. So be very vigilant of your rod. Small tap. You need to be at your rod ever ready to set the hook. These aren't vicious takes, small tiny little nibbles on the power baits. Alright, so as one would expect from these early stock trout, they tend to love the little power baits. We've been throwing all sorts of lures, but the power baits, that's the one that constantly gets hit. Now what we're using a small Carolina rig with a small hook, small piece of power bait on there. Now I am using rather big hooks. We don't want to be using small treble hooks to try and get these fish. I've been seeing quite a lot of people using the small treble hooks. It's fine if you use them, but just know that the fish are going to swallow them. We've been seeing quite a lot of dead trout around. That's normally when these small treble hooks, the fish swallow them and they get stuck in their throats. That is why I'm rather going for a bigger hook. Yes, that does mean we're not getting as many fish landed, but we are still getting the bites. This way we ensure we just have a little bit more fish around for a longer while, rather than killing them all in the first week, getting them gut hooked. Alright, wife is finally on a little trout. Little inline spinner. Quickly gonna land him. There we go, fish in the net.
Tiny little guy.
First little stocker for the year as well, for the wife. We've been throwing around all sorts of lures all day to get some fish. Been getting hits on the power baits, but the first one to strike is a little inline spinner. Alright, so he's been hooked quite nicely. We can release him without any problems. So we're just going to get him back to the water. This fish seems a little bit stunned. And there he goes. He just wanted to say hi to us for a while. But there we go, first little trout landed. There we go, wife is on another fish. Again, inline spinner. She's been using all sorts of different colors. Feisty little guy. Looks like a bit bigger one, but we quickly need to get the net for this one. It's a better size one. Still has lots of energy in him. There we go. Decent, lovely stock trout. This one is a bit bigger. Like to see them on this size. This one went for a little rainbow trout colored inline spinner. Oftentimes you'll find the bigger fish chasing little inline spinners, whereas the smaller ones tend to go for the power baits. Alright, so these fish are very slippery. Be careful when handling them. Try and get them back to the water as quick as possible. This one had a pretty good fight. Just want to make sure he's okay and swims off by himself. And there he goes. Back down so we can try and catch him again. And there we go, another fish for the wife. Again, inline spinner, working pretty well for her. And there we go, another decent one on the inline spinner.
Oh, beautiful colors. Oh, he actually unhooked himself.
Good that we have the net. That one would have come off if we didn't use the net.
Skin of our teeth.
This one has some lovely colors on him, short tail, something you normally see from the little stock trout. Lovely little colors on this one. Let's get him back to the water.
Red and silver inline spinner.
I think this one is a male. He has a bit of a hooked beak, but let's quickly get him back.
Off he goes.
And off he goes.
A lot of energy still.
Good to get a quick release on him like that. That means he wasn't out of the water for too long. Alright, and I finally have one on the power baits as well. Been getting quite a lot of fish stealing my baits. Finally got one that got the hook. We got him in the net. Let's quickly have a look at him. So again, the hook came out quite easily. We can release this little guy. Lovely green colors on him. Bit smaller than the ones we're seeing on the little inline spinners, but great to get some trout. Alright, so let's get our little fish back to the water. And off he goes. Seeing as the sun is getting lower, these fish seem to be getting more active. We've been getting quite a lot of hits on the power baits. But like I said, using big hooks, we don't want to gut hook these guys. So we're not landing as many, but we might swap out to some inline spinners rather, because we don't want to harm any of these fish. You can see it's a nice, decent little trout, this one. Nice sized one, lovely colors on him. We want to see if this fish swallowed the hook.
You might have done. So this is a keeper.
Alright, so this fish completely swallowed the hook. That means if we release this one, he's probably going to die. So I think we're rather going to keep this one.
Yeah.
Don't know if you can see, but there's quite a lot of blood around the gills. This fish is not going to survive, so definitely going to keep him.
Yes. Ooh, acrobatic soccer. So we have another one, and again, not massive, but a decent size. So we're probably going to keep this one to have a nice meal of the two little fish. And there we go. Perfect. You can see it's already bleeding as well. I mean, we weren't particularly careful with this fish. But we've got two on the stringer.
That's all we're going to keep.
All we're going to keep. And that's it for the day, I think.
And once again, we have our good old friend technical difficulties coming to ruin the end of the video. But I mean, you guys get the gist of it. The ponds have been stocked. Great time to get out there and get some stock trout. Now normally the first batch of stock trout tends to be on the bit bigger side. As the season progresses, they get a bit smaller. And these fish still do go for power baits as soon as they're stocked. And at the moment, Not a lot of cormorants around chasing the fish. I'm sure they will show up at some stage. So better to get out there soon and try and get some fish rather than waiting till the end of the season unless you're looking for a challenge. But that also being said, it's not as simple as just getting out there. It took us a couple of hours to get used to how everything works, what speed you need to be reeling that little inline spinner. You need to have a slow presentation, as well as something simple like when to set the hook. These fish often have a very light bite. If you're not setting the hook at the right moment, you're not going to get them. So it did take quite a while to get used to all of that again. But that's something no one can teach you. You can only learn that by being out there and trying it. Okay, so I do make these videos, but it's up to you guys on how well they do. The YouTube algorithm always recommends videos based on comments and likes. So please do go write a comment. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments as well, and give a little like. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. But that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank you guys for following us, and like always, see you next time.